Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel, Peter's Movie Reviews. And today I want to talk about another Lifetime movie that I watched last night, From Homeless to Harvard, the Liz Murray story. Okay, so I know that I've been doing a lot of Lifetime movie reviews over here. I'm a member of the Lifetime Movie Club. I'm very excited about it. So I've been going in and I've been watching a lot of these Lifetime movies. I'm loving it. My friends are joking with me. They're like, how do you get through those movies? I'm like, they're really good. The old ones, here's the thing, and I feel like everybody talks about this, but it's true. The new ones are pretty bad. The new Lifetime movies are pretty bad, but the old ones are really, really good. I mean, some of the old ones are just, they are really, really good. I mean, it reminds me of back in the day, when Lifetime movies got famous and stuff, and I can remember my mom watching a made-for-TV movie from 9 to 11 and making popcorn, and we'd all, I can remember those days, you know? The older ones are fantastically done. They are really, really well done. In fact, if you watch my reviews of Lifetime movies, you know that I laugh a lot, and I tell a lot of jokes about it and stuff like that. This one, I don't really know that I can do it. I was actually really, really moved by this movie. I watched it last night, like I said. I've never seen this movie before. A lot of people have told me to watch this movie. And so I watched it last night and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I don't really have anything joking to say about it. It's based on a true story, but most of them are based on a true story, even if they're funny. This one was just it was kind of like Gracie's Choice a little bit to me. It was very, very inspiring. I felt so inspired when true story. I felt so inspired when I got done with this. I just thought it was fantastically done. So if you don't know anything about this, let me read you the synopsis from this. It is Homeless to Harvard, the Liz Murray story, and it came out in 2003, and it is starring Thora Birch. And this is the inspiring true story about a young girl, Liz Murray, who despite being homeless at 15 and dealing with personal tragedy, manages to finish high school and accepted to Harvard. And it was just so fantastic. So it was just so sad. And I also think, for those of you that don't know, I've been sober for over 30 years. My sobriety date is December 17th of 1994. I feel like I've met several Liz Murrays in my life. She's not truly, but she's a motivational speaker today, and she's an author and things like that. But I've met so many people that have had hardships similar to hers and have succeeded and really made their own lives and are so inspiring. And so when I watched this, especially because there's a lot to do with drugs in here, it reminded me of a lot of people that are friends of mine, their own personal stories. So when the movie starts, Liz is younger and living with her mom and her dad and her sister at the time. She hardly ever goes to school. When the opening scene is her mom, they've hidden the money because they don't have any money for food. They're very, very poor. Mom and dad are both heroin addicts, and the dad is watching Jeopardy. And so he's getting every answer right in Jeopardy. And so they're needing the money for food. And so finally, Liz gives the money to her mom, who's played by Kelly Lynch. I love Kelly Lynch. I was looking her up last night. Kelly Lynch hasn't done anything apparently in years. But Kelly Lynch was in Drugstore Cowboy, which is one of my all-time favorite movies with Matt Dillon. Speaking of addiction as well. And so her mom is played by Kelly Lynch. Kelly Lynch is fantastic in this. Fantastic in this. And so, then she goes out and gets drugs. And so it's about them being very, very poor. And besides that, Liz is very smart. And you can kind of tell she gets it from her dad, because her dad, that's how they're showing the Jeopardy thing. So she's not going to school and whatever. And then her mom gets taken away because of these drug charges, and they do a mental health check on her, and they're going to they take the daughters, and they're going to put the one thing I didn't like about this, I mean, I've heard about this in the past, was kind of the portrayal of the caseworkers and stuff, were to the daughters, they were you need to clean this apartment, this apartment's not clean, and you should be helping your mom out, putting it all, the place was a mess. And the dad was just sitting there smoking cigarettes and reading, and they blamed it all on him, or all on the kids and stuff like that. But Liz never really goes to school. So anyway, flash forward, she goes to this group home and all this kind of stuff. And then she gets out of the group home and she wants to move home with her mom, but her mom is now living, she had to leave with leave her dad. And so her mom's now living with her dad, who abused her when she was younger. And so she's staying there. And Liz is kind of going out, and she's not really going to school a whole lot. At this point is when she tells, her mom, Kelly Lynch, tells Liz that she has AIDS and she's dying from AIDS. One of the things that's important about the timeline of the story is that when this happened, this is when, I mean, they were still in trials of, you know, AIDS medications and things like that. This is kind of around the time where those drugs started coming out and being used regularly. And so she kind of becomes her mom's caretaker a lot. She's not going to school a lot. You can tell she's very, very smart. And then she's like she becomes homeless. She can't stay with her grandfather because her grandfather hits her. And so she's got this friend named Chris. I loved Chris in the movie. Chris has been in some other things I've watched. I can't remember what else, but I loved Chris in this movie. And so Chris and her are like living on the streets and they're homeless together. And so she finds out that her mother has passed away. And so her friend is like, I can't do this anymore. I'm going back to the group home. And so then she finally decides that she goes and lives with this neighbor that was like this older lady. She goes to live with her. And then she decides that she's going to go to this kind of like experimental school for kids that have had a really tough time. Kind of today what we would see as like charter schools and things like that. She describes it as a public school that's like a private school. Kind of like what a charter school would be like today. And so she ends up going to school and she's taking like 10 classes and she wants to graduate high school in like 4 years and 2 years. And so then she is like the best student in the class. And so she gets to go this trip to Boston. She goes and sees Harvard. And so, like, it's her dream to go to Harvard. And she's constantly, the whole thing is narrated and in her head. And it's fantastically done about, like what she deserves. And, like, but people like me don't go to Harvard. Why don't people like me go to Harvard? That's what's so inspiring about it. Is because she's constantly doubting herself and self-talking herself down. But then you hear her do it, like, in real time, talk herself out of the negative self-talk. It's fantastically done. And then, she's filling out all these scholarships. She falls in love with this school. She tries to get her friend Chris to go to the school, but her friend Chris is like, F this school. I don't want to go to this school. School's not for me. She's like, Harvard doesn't accept people like us. And so anyway, so then she's applying for all these scholarships and like the scholarships are like $500 and they won't hardly pay for any college. And she's like, I need to get a big scholarship. So she applies for this New York Times, a scholarship that's $12,000 a year for 4 years of college. And so she applies for it. She does this interview. She shares her story. To get into this school, her dad has to come and basically say that he's her guardian, even though she's living with this woman. And so her dad comes. It's just really, I mean, her dad broke my heart. I mean, her dad reminded me of so many men when I first got sober that I met in 12-step rooms. And outside of the building, he's talking about they want to get him his own apartment. And he's like, you know, they like people like me to move out. He's living in a shelter to move out. They don't want me in the shelter. And she's like, what do you mean people like you? And he's like, well, patients, like I'm sick, like I have AIDS. And he's like, but I'm not going to die. It's so interesting how I mean, we would make whole, you know, today documentaries and movies about a girl that has two parents that are living and dying with AIDS. I mean, it's a part of her story and it's a part of heroin addiction and it's like so powerful. And so like she gives her dad a hug and she talks about how he inspired her to believe in herself and all this. It's such a moment. It's such a powerful moment. She ends up winning the scholarship and she ends up going to Harvard, obviously. And at the end of it, it's done really beautifully. It's like she's talking to the camera. I love this movie. I love this movie so much. I loved Gracie's Choice, but I think this one's even better. I thought this movie was so fantastically done. I love it. And like, I spoiled the whole thing for you, but you could still watch it. I mean, you kind of know when you see the title Homeless to Harvard, that's what it's about. You know that it's gonna be about this girl that's like homeless and then she ends up getting into Harvard. I mean, you know that's what it's about, right? I mean, I was Google searching like where she's at today. At the end of it, it says that Chris is like working a full-time job, and it says at the end of it that Liz Murray like left Harvard. She graduated from Harvard. I looked it up and she went and got like her master's degree and she started up like a nonprofit for like kids at risk and things like that. And she's a motivational speaker today and an author. I don't know. Her story was super inspiring to me. I mean, it was like, I think that we live our lives, you know, complaining about the most menial things. And then you watch a movie like this and her message basically is like, they're like, were there ever times that you felt sorry? They ask her all these questions when she gets the scholarship. They're like, were there times that you felt sorry for yourself for sleeping on trains and you had no food to eat? And she was like, I was raised, like that was all I knew. That was baseline for me. So why would I feel sorry for myself? No, it pushed me harder to want to have something different because I saw that there were other things out there that were different than that. And so it pushed me to want something different. But that was all I ever knew. You know, and so I'm sitting there watching them like we complain each day about the smallest of things when there are people out there that's their normal. And that's not just something that we go to remind ourselves of gratitude. That's a truism. I mean, there's millions of people out there that have it so much worse than any of us ever will, you know? And I think that for me is a reminder that her story was beautiful. It was fantastically told. So anyway, let me know other movies that you want me to watch. If you haven't watched this, I would highly recommend it. You can watch it several places online. Hold on, I will tell you right now. Oh, I guess you can just watch it on Amazon Prime. It's also on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube as well. And it's called Homeless to Harvard, the Liz Murray story. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow.